Welcome to the Wyoming State Archive's Introduction to Using the State Records Retention Schedules. So how do you know which retention schedules to use for the records in your office? Here's what we'll cover. What are records retention schedules? Why do we have them? Which records retention schedules are available for you to use? How are they structured, and how do you read a schedule to find out how long to keep your records? Which schedules will your office typically use for the types of records that you keep, including an introduction to the crosswalk of schedules, and how to find a schedule for a new record type, and how to search the list of schedules. So what is a records retention schedule? In short, it gives you a rule for each record type. It tells you how long to keep the record after a trigger event, like the end of the year or the end of a project. Schedules were developed by examining state and federal laws, local ordinances, professional regulations, and commonly recognized periods of time that offices need to retain their records. What do we mean by documents that aren't actual records? Your records are produced by your office. If you have copies or manuals or articles in your files just to refer to when you have a question, then those aren't your records. They're some other office's records, and that office has to manage them. For you, they're just reference materials and can be tossed when you don't need them anymore. Another word that we use is transitory. You need it for a time and then its use is over. Transitory also covers brief memos like staff party on the 12th or please turn in your reports tomorrow. So which schedules are available for you to use? The Wyoming State Records Committee is charged by statute with approving a set of schedules which may be used by government staff. There's a list of the 600 plus records retention schedules that are approved for use by all state agencies, and there's a separate one for local government entities. It's called the Master List of Records Retention Schedules. Here's where you can find the master list on our website. This is the list of all the schedules which can be used by any agency. It doesn't identify which agency uses which schedules, but we'll cover that in a minute when we talk about the crosswalk lists. If you see a schedule listed in this document that you don't currently use, but that you think might work well for you, please contact the records analyst assigned to your agency, and we'd be happy to investigate that for you. This is what the master list of records retention schedules looks like. Take a minute to look at the different schedules and see the different parts, and we'll be explaining the different parts in the next few slides. Let's talk about how the schedules work so that you understand what they mean. They're in a tiered structure. There are three basic layers of classification: function, activity, and record type. And below that is a sample record schedule. The top layer is the function of the staff members who use them. You'll see this reflected in a three-letter code like ADM for administration. And here's what they all stand for. The next layer is the activity they're performing, and then the record type. The lowest lines in gray are the definition of this type of record and the retention period assigned to it. Here's how the whole schedule with all of its parts fits together. In RS or Record Schedule EMP-BEN-01, you can see the following pieces. EMP stands for Employee Services. BEN means that the activity is benefits management. 01 means it's the first in the list of EMP-BEN schedules. And claims is the type of record that you're filing. Now we come to the actual rule. How long do you keep these records and after what event? In this case, the RS, or record schedule, tells us it's a CP10. That means that the trigger event is completion, possibly when someone leaves their job, and keep the record for 10 years after completion. Then you may destroy the records. Here's a list of all the event or trigger codes. If you don't remember what they stand for, the full list can also be found on our website. Event codes must have a meaning that works for your office. Completion's a good example. If a record must be kept for 5 years after completion, what does that mean to your office? These records retention schedules are structured so that you assign that meaning yourselves. Does completion mean when a project is signed off? When it's no longer being used? At the end of the biennium? Whatever the meaning is for you, you must come to a decision, record the decision, and file it in a place where you'll know where to find it. If you send records to the State Records Center for storage until their retention period is met, you'll need this memo. We'll send you a destruction request for a CP10 record after the 10 years. It's up to you to say, yes, they are complete, you may destroy the records, or no, we consider these records complete when the project's no longer current, but it is still current, and so forth. On the right side of the retention schedule is a column headed Archival Review. For each schedule in this column, there'll be a no or a yes. If it says no and the retention period has been met, you may destroy or approve the destruction of the records. If it says yes, please contact your records analyst so that the state archives can examine the records for long-term historical, legal, or administrative value. They might end up being kept permanently for historical research, for example. If you've sent these records to the State Records Center, the records management staff will send you a disposition approval report when the retention period is up. This request asks for your office's permission for our staff to destroy the records. If the Archival Review column says no, they'll schedule the records for destruction as soon as they have your permission. But if the Archival Review column says yes, they'll ask our archivists to examine the records first to see if there are historically valuable records included, which we might want to keep for researchers to use. So here's what a crosswalk looks like. In the top schedule, the department is the Board of Accountants. The function is ADM for Administration and Business Support. The activity is General Management, and the record type is General Correspondence. In the shaded area, you can see the RS, or Record Schedule, which is ADM GMT 05. The retention period is 3 years after the create date, or CR3. The State Archives does want to review these records for possible inclusion in the permanent archives, so under Archival Review it says yes. Under the shaded area are the superseded or outdated schedules. Since many staff are familiar with these older schedules, we've included them for your reference, and so you can see what types of records may be included under these schedules. Any older retention periods you may come across that were listed under the old schedules do not apply now. Only the retention period in the shaded area here is valid. What if you don't see the record type you're looking for? How do you know how long to keep the records? First, you can search the crosswalk document by keyword or record description. Just use the find command, Control-F, to search by keywords like payroll. And you can always call your records analyst and ask us what we recommend. We can help you find the right schedule for your files. We still call the current schedules the new schedules because the whole system was simplified in 2013. And yes, we did move from 8,000 schedules down to 600. We worked with every agency and each one signed off on our new schedules. And now we keep record types, for example, accounts payables, for the same amount of time, no matter which agency you work for. We avoid creating a separate schedule for accounts payables for each agency, and we keep the retention periods uniform. But in some cases, it's turned out that the new schedules aren't working for you the way they're supposed to. Maybe we included your record type in with something that really isn't the same kind of record. Maybe the retention period change was drastically shorter or longer, and you want to know how that happened. Or maybe there's a new regulation on your end that mandates a different records retention period. Call or email your records analyst. We'd be happy to talk with you about it. If a change does turn out to be necessary, we'll let you know the process and we'll work on it with you.